Welcome back to another episode of Sleepy Hollow, the missing episodes. Last time, Team Witness was successful on defeating the Horsemen of Pestilence, aka Logan McDonald, as well as reversing the curse and the diseases that were infecting them, as well as the Vault. And Jenny has actually done a baptizing ritual to reverse the curse. And also, she and Gavin have reunited with their fathers, who were the last minute stragglers in Sleepy Hollow. But they managed to escape the rapture in a church. So, with the help of the Holy Water Super Soakers, which is a great idea by Molly, as well as Jake and Alex, they have managed to defeat Pestilence, but they haven't really avenged Missy yet, who was a sacrificial lamb, to be honest. I mean, come on, she's very forgettable. So, who's next? Famine or death? Well, let's find out. Alright, Chapter 8, Fighting the Famine. The Horsewoman of Famine was very new to me. I was really surprised that Sleepy Hollow got the idea and not supernatural, though I was a bit creeped out on how they portrayed it as an intimidating crippled old coot that always seems to have a fetish for souls. So I'll try and combine the two as best as I can. Just minutes after Ichabod saw the brown corroded water as he was getting himself a drink, he explained to the rest of the guys who were curious of his finding. In the book of Revelation, the third angel blew his trumpet, and a great star fell from heaven, blazing like a torch, and it fell on a third of the rivers and onto the springs of water, polluting them. The name of that star is Wormwood. A third of the waters become wormwood, and many people died from the water, because it had been made bitter. And many people die as a result. In the Old Testament, wormwood was repeatedly associated with bitterness and death. He continued the lecture, though Gavin was despondent and out of sorts. Precisely, Miss Jenny. Each trumpet announced or proclaimed another judgment that would take place during the tribulation period. In addition to the star that pollutes the waters of the earth, the first angel announces hail and fire, mixed with blood, that burns up a third of the earth. Took out a written passage from Washington's Bible. The second angel announces something like a great mountain burning with fire being thrown into the sea, and a third of that becomes blood. A third of the living creatures in the sea died, and a third of the ships were destroyed. This event, perhaps a meteor or comet, will turn a third of the sea red, will kill a third of sea life, and destroy a third of the ocean's vessels. The fourth angel announces a judgment that will result in a third of the light being cut off from the earth, including from the sun, moon, and stars, which we've already seen from the blood moon, as one of the first to behold it and made the connection. Yeah, I'm sorry I doubted you before. The witness went on. The judgment of a star referred to as wormwood fits appropriately in this context of doom that will take place during the Earth's final days before the second coming of Christ, or in this case, Lucifer. Diana and Laura came back with more food and supplies. They also had a long shopping list of foods that'll last for weeks, months, even a lifetime. Honey was the first being drawn out of the large paper bags, along with this and that. Ichabod suggested that salt should be used as a weapon, recommended to not be consumed as a spice as it'll make people thirsty, but instead use it as a way to combat demons. So Jake and Alex commenced salting the vaults, windowsills, underneath the doors, and upon every escape in the tunnels. There was this, there was that, blah blah blah. Jenny said it can be eaten and also cleansable, the vinegar, followed by sugar and starch and this and that, blah blah blah. Good thing we were able to get the supplies when we did, and the fact that Laura was with me, as we would have gone berserk. While shopping, they saw people killing each other over the demand and rising prices. They avoided some stampedes and just grabbed whatever was available on the bare shelves. They went to various shops and the parking lots were jam-packed beyond the brims, although they had to avoid Aldi's like the plague for obvious reasons. Ugh! I never liked Aldi's. Yeah, everything is cheap, but the hallways are just so... the aisles are just so skinny. And it's hell, especially when people are so damn slow. And they're not organized like those other stores, especially Walmart. Ugh, it's hell to navigate. Laura was definitely proven as a shield from great temptation since she wielded the virtue of temperance. Measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. The team knew that Famine was the first member of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Its rider appeared as a cloaked figure in Ichabod's dream, wielding a scythe while riding a pale horse. They noticed the mantle of Famine is currently held by Helen Donovan. Jake and Alex knew her well since they fought her off as she and her party invaded DC. Famine's totem was the scales of justice that were stolen from the Eisenhower building. Ellen was chosen as the vessel to contain Famine's spirit because of her hunger for power. After the quartet remained in coffins awaiting the proper time that Malcolm would start the apocalypse. Famine usually has to do with hunger, so we'll save ourselves by grazing on grains so we can stay full longer. Whew, good thing Diana got those hardtack crackers. We'll be able to fight hunger and thirst until we reach the end of days. No, it's not enough. The horsewoman can do so much more. But famine is just food and drink, right? Wrong. It could be almost anything, even your deepest desires. Tension, drugs and alcohol, lust. It could be something someone is obsessed with. Oh, jeez. The list goes on. And being since it's a horsewoman... Sergeant hesitated, never felt like himself. Nevertheless, the team analyzed the mysterious bringer of chaos. Before the transformation, they discussed that Helen was expressing her concern to the board of Dreyfus Enterprises about the future in Malcolm's absence. It's in the episode Insatiable, by the way, if you want to look it up. Malcolm wanted it being destroyed to become what it needs to be, as having big shoes to fill. Helen then had a fallout after that. The company shut down. She found out that Malcolm's decision was not out of craziness, but rather pursuing another interest. whatever it may be. After several days had passed, Helen received an invitation to meet Dreyfus. He admired her hunger and famine of power, and told her about a role she could be in the future. She was then ambushed and killed by Job and hadn't been seen since. Then revealed that Malcolm's real purpose for her was to become the first horsewoman in famine, satisfying her dark desire, using the balance scales that fed the hunger demon as a catalyzer in her transformation. Thank you, Sleepy Hollow Wiki. The group then strategized what famine was capable of from old manuscripts, including Revelation. Famine was the personification of hunger itself and could devour any type of soul to strengthen itself. By influencing intense hunger and gluttony, she can make everyone for several miles become consumed by their greatest desires, such as money, love, and food, causing them to seek whatever it is they crave most until it results in their killing and destruction, much as the customers in the supermarkets. Once infested by hunger, removing the person from famine's presence won't have an effect, as the hunger will just follow them unless famine's defeated. The range of this power increases the more stronger she'll become, and the closer to her the person is, the more quickly it'll affect them. However, if a person does not hunger for anything, then they can be immune to her power. It's also known that famine could affect a creature of creation like angels or demons. Supernatural. They figured the best bet is to recover themselves with holy water and stay next to Laura with the virtue of temperance to avoid Helen's persuasion. As for the refugees, they're not certain aside from being sheltered at the vault and cover themselves from the cistern. Through his files, Jake also found a reference to Johnny Appleseed. Everyone only believed it to be a folk tale, but he was a true historical figure, especially in the case of famine. He was known as John Chapman, an American pioneer who was born on September 26, 1774 in Massachusetts to March 18, 1845 in Indiana. Of course, he was well known as planting numerous apple trees in various parts of the nation, including Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois, northern parts of West Virginia, and even in Ontario. At that time, he and his party were suffering from anger, hunger, and many performed grave acts of cannibalism. However, thanks to Johnny's acts of valor and generosity and strong sense of conservatism, he was a living legend. Upon his observations through a dense fog in the woods during the winter in the Revolutionary Wars, came across a giant white horse unlike any other, describing it and its rider carrying a sense of temptation, desperation, and violence. When he later became a mercenary, he connected his brief sighting to the Horsewoman of Famine. Everyone was aghast at this story, excepting the lone soldier who wasn't paying any attention. Seeing Gavin in his sorry state, Ichabod marched up to him. He wasn't sure if he was either sleeping or just full of despair. Gavin, you all right? No, Ichabod. I'm finding it very difficult to concentrate. I can't help but wonder what's going to happen to the people we know, whether they would survive or not. I don't think anyone could be brought back. Eventually got desperate on leaving D.C. and head back to Sleepy Hollow. Jenny understood his uneasiness, and Ichabod led him away to the tunnels when he noticed his inability to focus on the task at hand. Gavin stopped and voiced his agonizing thoughts. Ichabod, I can't continue with this mission. I wish to go back to Sleepy Hollow and leave D.C. Are you having some kind of homesickness? No, I simply cannot focus and control my anxieties. Perhaps the medication isn't working. I need to talk to my psychiatrist about this. Wonder if she's safe. Gavin, I have nothing but sympathy about what you are feeling. But right this minute, I need you to. Ichabod, I no longer want to be here and deal with the apocalypse. Relocating back to Sleepy Hollow is the only viable solution. Part of dealing with homesickness, Gavin, are anxieties. We can help you cope with it, but we need you here to fight with us. Just learn how to live with them no matter what the circumstances. Ichabod, I cannot! The Freemason's voice was loud and stern, so much so that everyone can hear it. You will not be relocated! You are a vital part in this fight, and until the tribulations are over, you are required to perform your duty to the best of your ability. That is an order, Sergeant. Felt his throat was tight like an anaconda's. Yes, sir. I'll try, Ichabod. Sometimes it takes fortitude to fight anxiety. Mr. Crane? What's going on? Is everything all right? It was actually Molly. Yes, Molly. We're fine. Although we seem to be a little despondent. I just heard you two back there, and I was just wondering. I also need to pee. She got to the lavatory. She observed that the white wooden door was locked when she jiggled the knob. She heard a couple deep voices on the other side, and she knocked. Is anyone in there? I need to go. Oh, we'll be out in a minute. Molly realized one of the voices. Oh, we'll be out in a minute. One of the voices belonged to Alex. We? She backed away before the door opened, revealing the engineer and Jake. Oh, what are you guys doing in there? She wondered. There was precipitation on their bodies, and their hairs were mangled. Yarkovich just sulked. Do you know what intimacy means? Actually, no. Does it have something to do with, you know? Well, kind of. It just means you're romantically close with someone when you feel like warm and fuzzy inside. Yeah, that's exactly it. I need to get back to modifying the weapons. Prince said we're dealing with the Horsewoman of Famine. Jake had shown Molly's work on a long flat desk. There were the usual Gavin's scabbard, Ichabod's crossbow, the replicas of Deligh's dagger, Ginny's rifle, several golden lumps. What are these? He explained that he recalled fighting a hunger demon not too long ago, just before Helen became the horsewoman working for Dreyfus. It was thanks to Jenny that she came up with a solution to resist the temptation from the demon and destroy it. Aside from the Chinese puzzle, either trapping, repelling, or drawing in the creature, she had this idea of using tiny portions of gold from worn-out cars in a junkyard. They were from the remaining burners that hadn't been wrecked during the battle. With as much as he and Alex scavenged, they used the material to make themselves have light shields. He also used the gold solution in a spray bottle to add the effects to the other weapons. The men heard his awesome idea. It's about damn time I got my own shield. I actually feel like a real knight with this thing, in conjunction with my sword. I get it. Gold makes you feel rich and powerful, makes us feel invincible. So this could be a way to resist and defeat famine. It was the hunger demon's weakness, and upon its defeat there was a pair of golden scales that glowed back at the Eisenhower building. They were stolen, and with that, Helen transformed into famine. So having gold in our possession might be a bit risky. Yes, and I had this plan to share the virtue of temperance from Laura to Molly, to give her half of its radiance. We will be leaving the vault, and someone has to keep the refugees in check. Also, no one is to leave here since exposure to the evil air is deadly. That was what made Gavin so anxious. I can understand his predicament, being sheltered nearly all your life. Remember when you saw me so little at that orphanage? Ah! You're... I knew this was going to happen. Relax, Laura. It's not like it wasn't supposed to happen sooner or later. I mean, you made a positive change since you came back in time. So did Ichabod after he was put to sleep for 232 years and woke up in the future. It's not like the entire universe is going to instantly eradicate itself. just because you saw Molly in front of you. After all, you came from the future and Ichabod came from the past to aid us and combat evil. You two are witnesses, and Molly would become one someday because of you. So, where's the harm in that? He does have a point here. We were planning to transfer some of Laura's powers to Molly, so the rest of us won't get all nutty with famine around. I think I can do just that. It's very nice to see myself as an innocent kid again. I've forgotten how it felt. She looked deep into her bright eyes. Molly did the same to Laura in a coy manner. Laura touched Molly's right hand, raised it, and channeled her energy as she closed her eyes. Molly's right hand illuminated, and a translucent shape with thin lines appeared. Same seven-shaped crystal that Laura had showing off temperance. Two images looked the same, only it was smaller in Molly's hands, which felt very lukewarm. Thanks, Laura. You now have half of my essence inside of you. Take good care of it when we fight famine. Suddenly, Chief Falcor ran into the library from one of the tunnels. There were also some loud cries echoing from them, almost belonging to irritating squawks. Soren Crane, it's our pets. They're freaking out. They may tear each other apart. I believe that famine has gotten to them. They seem really tense. I'm on my way. Laura, with me. As they saw the radiance from Temperance, everyone gradually calmed. It was like a beacon of hope, a light in the bleak darkness. I guess Laura's virtue worked. Someone's got to stay close to the refugees while we leave the vault. As the trio marched back in, Molly volunteered. I'll stay here. Maybe the innocence of a child could quell the agony. I heard that your future vessel should shed some of her powers onto you. You truly are courageous, Kenny Cub. Decided to stay with Falcor and the other escapees within the chambers. With their weapons and equipment prepared, we'll be right back in a jiffy, Molly. We promise. Gavin may have been full of pride, but once they left their sanctuary, they were filled with numerous feelings that made them lost. They weren't sure where famine would be. Some said at the site of 4 coffins, a few concluded at the same place where Helen met Dreyfus last. Following their dread, they met up with the hazy sighting of a large black steed. Its eyes were so black, and it had irises as smooth as jade. An enormous pair of golden scales were mounted on it, and there was a brunette in her late 20s. Ready to fight me? You cannot possibly stand a snowball chance against me. Suddenly the scales began to shift. The left side was rising as the opposing side was dropping, as if it was being weighed by a boulder. That time their souls started to weaken. Laura squealed, trying to get her allies' attention as the giant black steed blazed its green eyes. Guys, that's Famine's trance! Turn away! Turn away! Don't look at her in the face through the scales! Turn away! Don't look at her eyes through the scales! Don't look at her eyes through the scales! You lose your souls! No! She saw her friends fall one after the other. Gavin leading DC for Sleepy Hollow, making him obsess over his hobbies. Diana's desperation to see Mitch. Alex and Jake embracing each other, distracted by lust. Jenny and Ichabod's weakness and failing to protect those they cared for, while also torturing him on how his cause is meaningless, since he'll die anyway and have his soul damned for eternity. Even Laura, who also dropped as she fought her dark past, from losing her mom when she received the mantle of war, being abandoned and alone in an orphanage, living in a dystopian future with Dreyfus and Joe while also losing her friends, being accused of killing Diana, and also having Ichabod imprisoned. Though the witness remembered how her future turned for the better. I fear it no more. I am still a witness. It's not too late for us. I changed my future, and so can we. As she countered, the scale shifted again, almost lining up at an even keel. The anxieties and pain we've suffered, it makes us who we are. She was determined to not let Molly's brighter days be in vain. She was like the anchor for 6 buoys that were going astray, wrangling at her teammates. Their bodies sparkled and they literally had their weight lifted and became cooler. One by one they rose, were no longer afraid of facing famine dead center. Team Witness huddled together close to Laura. Then in a desperate attempt, Helen was pulling them in, trying to eat their souls. It was as if intense gravity or a tornado was sucking them closer to their new prison in the lightless pit. There was little they could do to stop it. Everyone, stay close to Laura! With as much strength as they could, the team each reached and touched her, protecting themselves as they held on to their crutched temperance. As they did, backs of their hands illuminated again. Each of the 7 grew bright as the sun. Try as you might to suck in our souls, and you'll be having a mouthful of radiance. Shields up! They followed his orders as they raised their golden shields using their free hands. The golden slabs made the 7 brighten even more to the point when a huge wave of light was absorbed by Helen's insatiable appetite. Her own vessel glowed as well, and she let out a holler. Their holy might was too much. She halted her great drain, freeing and sparing the group. On her hands and knees she began to dissolve into ash and disappear while the wind carried her. No, not again! The guys separated, relieved and attempting to catch their breaths. Good job. They soon returned to the vault in one piece, and they couldn't stop praising each other on their stunning success. Although there was still one more obstacle to face. Ichabod was about to mention it when suddenly Diana's cell rang. There was a news break. She entered it. She beheld a very hard sight. A male journalist was on a boat in very choppy waves, horrified, as a massive flaming island was sinking into the ocean. Simultaneously, the water surrounding it was churning into a deep red, similar to blood. He later identified it as one of the uninhabitable coconut islands, as he concluded there was an unusual occurrence that the mountain out of nowhere blown its top, and the entire island went ablaze almost instantly. Ichabod said it was another part of Revelation. It was one of the 7 trumpets, just before the one blown to release Wormwood. Molly was terrified as she held herself close to her mom. So, what now? There can be only one. The worst for last. Where hell prevails, death is sure to follow. Abraham Van Brunt is coming for us. With that, Molly's pendant illuminated brighter and brighter until it shattered before her. She shrieked at the burst, and red lightning flashed. She cowered next to her mom's leg, thinking he heard a horse's wail. He's here. I was really creeped out by the portrayal of famine and supernatural. He did one hell of a job, feeding on doomed souls that were afflicted by its curse with not just food, but their own personal desires and whatever it would be. That was a very interesting and frightening concept, so I decided to use it here too. The trumpet that Ichabod was referring to was supposed to be before Wormwood as the 2nd trumpet blown. However, due to the circumstances, it was after Wormwood. Now, all of the waterways have been poisoned, and death has awakened upon famine's wrath. Also, as a slight reference, the burning island was one of the deserted coconut isles from Castaway. Can't imagine anyone living on it, so I want it to be wasted away. Had this idea of Johnny Appleseed referring to famine for quite a while. It almost makes sense when you think about it. Little did I know he was around during the Revolution. Damn it! I wish Fox would use that as an opportunity, but they had to cancel it and let it be screwed by the network. Like I kept saying, F you, Fox, and your wasted potential, especially when you merged with Disney. God, I can't stress this enough. FX should take it. So, another chapter done. Next would be the appearance for the main villain, the Horsemen of Death. What'll happen next? Find out soon, sleepyheads. Oh man, I am so looking forward to this. Until then, this is the Ecron Writers signing out. Stay tuned for that.